little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder, disappears, shattering, a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them.
Hello, my friends. Good evening or go after, and welcome to Sporks Ball tonight. Tonight we have an amazing question, and I'm asked it quite a bit, quite honestly. So this will be a wonderful show to have. I also want to say I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to be drinking tea throughout our presentation tonight because my throat chakra has gotten quite worn out over the last couple of days, so it's not doing so well. So we're going to enjoy some hot green tea with honey, and we're going to just address that chakra. As always, I want to start the show by saying thank you to all of you who have liked, followed, and subscribed. Thank you so much for helping us to promote this wonderful mission of bringing people back, bringing them back to their culture or into their ancestor, helping people to reconnect with that sense of themselves and their families. So thank you so much. I also want to give a huge shout out to start this show to New Reality TV, and particularly newrealitytv.com, but particularly to my producers there, Karen and Will. I am sending you all of the energy. Tonight is a show I am specifically putting together for you, so that you guys can have some tools going forward. So it's a wonderful question, and it's very timely, so trust me, you'll want to stick around. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to ask your questions, by all means, we do have the live chats open. Facebook, Twitch, you name it. It's got a chat session on it. Feel free to hit me up and we'll get that question answered. If you need a little bit more privacy, you've got something on your mind that's weighing on your soul, by all means, go ahead and visit our webpage. At the very bottom, you'll see this big orange button over here. That big orange button will give you directly to me. Ask me a question. Let's get a dialogue started, and let's actually find you an answer that works for you, okay? Remember, if I do make a show from what you've asked me, where am I going? You're going to get this t-shirt that this handsome gentleman here is modeling for us. Thank you, sir. I definitely want to give a huge shout out to Asha. Asha, what a beautiful name, by the way. But Asha in Colorado, is her shirt. There it is. It's on its way to you. So be checking your mail because it is inbound, as they say. So let's address what is Asha's question. Well, Asha's question is, how can I make a little ritual that sticks, that stays with me every day? We talk about the power of the ritual, and we talk about what ritual is. Now, a lot of people have a multitude of definitions of what a ritual, and the word ritual, what it means. So let me clarify. We'll start off with the definition of what I think a ritual is. Okay, a ritual is an emotional experience. That's it. Okay, there's no parading around in particular outfits, particular steps, particular hand gestures, none of that stuff. That's not included in the ritual. What you do with your body during the ritual is completely up to you. Usually the spirit moves you, and that's where you get body movement, you get certain words, you get all kinds of things are going to happen because the spirits are now investing in you, because you've opened yourself up emotionally. But a ritual is emotional experience. And so when, as an example, when I do my rituals, I'm exhausted. at the end. And they could be short ones too. They don't have to be long ones. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But regardless, it's an emotional experience that reaches a peak, a climax during the ritual. All right. So this is a spiritual intimacy. Think about it that way. It might kind of resonate a little bit clearer than it normally does. So ritual is an emotional experience. But let's talk about emotional experiences here. Does it need to be this great, big, grandiose thing that, goes, like I said, goes through these motions, goes through all these gestures and hand gestures and verbiage and this, that? No, it doesn't. Remember, each of our spiritual journeys is unique. It's as unique as we are. Okay? So if we're having an emotionally down day, say, all right, and we're just kind of feeling under the weather. Maybe not under the weather as much as just saddened, emotionally burdened, okay? What is the one thing that we can do or see or touch or smell or whatever that just shifts the mood, that just changes the mood? You go from being depressed to, all right, I can do this, to maybe even to thrilled and ecstatic, right? So there's all these extremes, obviously. So when we're thinking about an emotional experience and we're thinking about expressing that emotional experience through a ritual, what event, what experience can you have that will change your emotional state? I've always loved green tea. So, speaking of my emotional experience, here it is, right here in a mug. I love my mug. My mug I got from, and you can get one too, by the way. They're available on akumedia.akulfhednar.com. I don't know if I have the website, but it's good stuff. Wonderful little mug that, let's see. Oh, there it is. Let's see. Can you see that? akumedia.akulfhednar.com, and there you can go to the store and you can pick one up yourself. Wonderful mugs, by the way. Anyway, and I got a shirt too since I was there, or a hoodie, I should say. All right, enough pitch of me. Let's get back to their conversation about the ritual. So, rituals. What are rituals? Well, we talked about them. They're emotional experiences. What you do during your ritual is completely as unique as you are. There is no, while there were described experiences that particularly individuals documented in history, they're not carved in stone. No pun intended. It's just not carved in stone. So, to that extreme, we can just be ourselves. We're having an emotional experience and we're just doing what makes us happy. All right. So let's think about what these rituals look like. What are they? Well, it can be as simple as holding a candle. They could be as simple as spending time with our eyes closed outside where we can feel the breath of the winds. We feel the spirits through the trees. And we're just closing our eyes and we're allowing ourselves to just relax. Okay? That could be a ritual. You could do it every day. I once had a friend, and at the time we both worked in a CPA firm, a financial firm. And so tax season was insanely stressful. Stressful for us because we had to make sure that all the machines were running all the time, and stressful for the individuals as they prepared taxes and made sure that nobody was late and everything got done in the right way and all the documentation was there. So everybody was stressed. And I had a friend, and he was more of a mentor at the time. I was a rather young system admin. And I said to him, I said, how is it that when you come to work every day, you look like you've just been on vacation for a week. And I know we were both here at 9 o'clock last night, but yet here you are, and you're chipper, you're ready to go. He said, he learned a long time before that time, that he needed to leave things behind. Okay? He needed to walk away from his work. And I said, well, okay, how do you do that? He says, someone taught him, and I've learned it another place now, but when he got home at the end of every day, he would take off his coat and he would hang it on the tree outside of his home. The coat was imaginary, all right? So there was no real coat. There was an imaginary coat. And what he did, though, was he put all of his stress, his struggles, his frustration into that coat. And he hung it on the tree, and he said, no, when I walk in the door to my family, work doesn't exist. And so I'll go in there, and I'm going to enjoy the evening. I'm going to enjoy my children, my wife, and I'm going to spend the evening just having fun, enjoying life. And then tomorrow morning, he would symbolically take the jacket off the tree, and he would put it on. Symbolically, because obviously, as I mentioned, it was an imaginary coat. But he did it symbolically. And what he found was the jacket that he put on in the morning wasn't nearly as heavy as the jacket he had put on the tree that night. And so he began to make a habit of it. So, is that a ritual? Yes. It's an emotional experience, and he's doing it repetitively, right? So, in his case, the ritual was not as much the climax of emotional state as it was the arrival at normalcy, if you will, right? So he would take off all of his stress, all of the high energy stuff, and he would put it on the tree, and then in the morning he would pick it up. That's a ritual. You're controlling your emotions, and you're doing an action, right? So there you go. So how do you do something every day? How do you create a ritual that you can do every day? Well, here's the first thing. Don't make it complex. Okay? Doesn't need to be complex. Remember, if a ritual, going back to the definition, if a ritual is indeed an emotional experience, that's all we need. Right? So, all we need is that momentary change of emotional state, conscious change of emotional state. So we're forcing it to change, right? And so that's the important part, is that we're instigating it, and we're going on an emotional journey, albeit short. Doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be complicated, and again, you want it not very complicated. You want it very simplistic, very easy to do, very comfortable, okay? And you begin to do it. And you in the beginning, remember, it's habitual, right? So we're going to train our brain. We're going to have to train the brain to actually get ourselves to think of this. But before long, it'll become habitual, right? And we'll continue to do it. Now, can you expand on it or shrink it? Or yes, remember, it's a personal thing. This is your emotion, right? It's not mine, right? So your emotional ritual can be as unique as you want it to be. Yeah, I'm still working on my throat, so I apologize. So, my friend, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, my friend is under a lot of stress right now. They've had to make some very pivotal decisions in their care, through the medical care, choices and decisions that my shield maiden and I made 19 years ago now. So I remember them very, very plainly today being absolute critical decisions that were pivotal in the way we addressed mortality and some of the things that really, really scared us. Fortunately, with modern science and, of course, medicine, and far be it for me to know, but there was probably a lot of prayers going into that as well. And so there was that. So understand that was. So I understand the stress. So let's talk momentarily about your emotional journey. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand being where you are, being in the position that you are. You are in an emotional journey. It is an insane emotional journey. I get it. Trust me, I know. What you need to do is ground yourself. And so an exercise I would propose would be to get a rock. Now, you say a rock, and here's why. Mentally, we've grown up our whole life knowing that rocks were on the ground. They were always laying around. We were always stepping on them or throwing them, and then they would hit the ground or whatever, or hit the river and then get to the bottom. So our brain knows that rocks equals ground. Okay? Could you use a handful of dirt? An example, my wonderful friend back in Denmark sent me a baby food jar, so a little baby food jar, that she filled with dirt. She had gone out into the yard, and she had put some dirt from Denmark in the jar and sent the jar to me and said, "Here is your grounding dirt." And so it's from home, it's ground, it's dirt. So my brain can now use that as a grounding tool because it knows that's ground, right? So there's two kind of forms of almost intrinsic programming that you're doing for yourself. Is that you're, again, you're using the rock, focusing energy on the rock, and subconsciously your brain is telling. Remember when memories feed imagination and imagination comes back into sensory input? Remember that? Well, here's where that comes into play, is that your imagination is telling your sensory input that the ground, or that the rock, is ground. You've got the message. So the emotional energy that we create is now focused more on grounding, right? So as we dip down through the well of the self, up through the horn of feeling, through the me gate, and into memories, where the spiritual mind will then connect to our experience, that's the way we're going to get rid of some of these negative experiences. Now, one of the other experiences that I've had in my many travels is meeting with people that have been diagnosed with terminal illnesses, terminal cancer, many different diseases. And one of the exercises that I would have them do is I would have them make up a bowl of mud, just mud, right? And I would have them put all their negative thoughts, anything bad, anything, no matter how trite, put in there. Okay? And when they had all their ugliness, all their dirtiness in the mud, then what we would do is we would take the mud outside, we'd put up a wall, and then they'd throw the mud. And what I'd say is, pick up the bowl, put it kind of like right here, and then throw it. Okay? This, again, is symbolic. And again, you're programming your mind. You're throwing away all the negative, all the ugly, all the unwanted. Throwing it away. Again, it's a symbolic gesture, but nonetheless, when we think about symbolism and its effect on our brain and the way we're thinking, we have to remember that not only are we bringing in sensory input, but we're programming the manipulation of that, right? So we're manipulating the way we see the world, the way the world is interpreted. So these rituals are super important. All right, I got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk about how we can use everyday things, everyday adventures, and certainly everyday experiences to create a ritual and to stick to this ritual. So we'll be right back after this short break.
In the air. The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me.
It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
NewRealityTV.com.
All right, hey, welcome back, and thank you for taking that quick break with me. And I've got a note here from it looks like our feed from Kick, and the person, the impregnator. That's a very interesting call sign there. And he asks if he can take a dip in my majestic beard. I have two things. First thing, thank you for calling it majestic. When I wake up in the morning, it's called a rat's nest. And then when you're putting on cold weather jackets and you get it zipped up in the jacket zipper, it's called a pain in the face. All right? So just let you know. And should you find yourself in South Central Alaska and you feel the need to come and take a swim in this beard, by all means, feel free to do so. All right, look me up. Okay, so today we're talking about rituals. Speaking of diving into my beard, we'll talk about rituals. And the first thing we already talked about is that we talked about making it simple. Every little thing, every little movement counts. Gosh, jog. All kinds of email going on, or text messages. I apologize. Tonight I forgot to turn my phone off. Sorry. But anyway, as I was saying, you want to make it simple, as simplistic as possible. A motion, a movement, something. And then the other thing you want to do is make sure that it's tactile, right? You need to touch something, right? It can be something simple. One of my favorite exercises when I'm trying to calm myself and trying to just really be still is I have a collection of leaves that the trees in my yard give me each year as they get ready for their winter slumber. And I take them, and what I'll do when I'm stilling is I'll sit quietly, close my eyes, kind of humble, and I'll just rub my fingers over the leaf. Just run it over the leaf. And it's an exercise for me, and it helps me to kind of bring everything back and help me to kind of refocus my energy where I need to go. So it can be something so simple as that. Again, it's all about timing, setting it up. You may want to, as you're going out the door each and every day, pick up a leaf, rub your finger along it. Okay? Rub your finger, say thank you, and allow the leaf to return to Mother Earth and go on your way. And then next day, same thing, right? And so you're focusing. It's now an emotional experience unique to you. Okay, now I happen to give you the idea of the leaf, which is, it works for me. Will it work for you? I don't know. Do you need something else? Do you need to run maybe your fingers through water? Maybe pouring a bowl of water every morning from the tap or from the bin, and just rubbing your fingers through it. Again, you're tactile, and you're in emotional connection. And that is a ritual. Doesn't need fancy dress. It doesn't need all the fancy steps. It doesn't need all the fancy everything, right? All it needs is your emotional commitment to whatever it is, right? So that's a ritual. Don't let anyone tell you that it's all this, right? Because it's not. Athena, what a beautiful name, Athena. Thank you. I'm in Anchorage, and you're the only Alaskan person that comes across my feed. Well, it's because I'm the most important, of course. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Probably because I take up so much space, I can't fit on one screen, and so I must have slid over to your screen, Athena. So, welcome, by the way. All right, so, all kidding aside, rituals. And this goes all the way back to the beginning of our show today. Asha, your question about how do you build a ritual that sticks, and your ritual that sticks is something simple, tactile, with an emotional connection. That's it. It doesn't need anyone else, doesn't need anything, really. It can be just you. I have a friend who has a nervous system glitch, and that's what I'm going to call it. And when she needs to calm herself, she'll sit still, and then what she does is she just taps. She taps on her head. And again, emotionally, she's seeking comfort. She's getting the comfort. Tactile, she's making contact. And it's emotional. It's an emotional experience. So that, my friends, is a ritual. All right? I hope I answered your question, Asha. And I love the name. I absolutely appreciate your name. And she is from Colorado, so not too far from me. Well, sorta. Anyway, so I hope that answers your questions. And again, if you guys have questions, by all means, let's see, which finger do I want? No, I want, which finger? Well, there we go. Hit up my website, northwhispers.com, and there it'll transport you over to the akoutlaw.org page, where you can scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and there, over there, right in the middle of the bottom of the page will be that big orange button. Ask your questions. Throw them out there. And remember, if I make a show, I'm going to send you a free t-shirt. What's to lose there? So make sure you get in those questions. And if I make a show out of it, boom, you're going to be one t-shirt above where you started. And maybe we'll even get an answer that works for you. So, all right. So I pray you all have a wonderful Wootens evening. Remember, tomorrow we will be back on the air first thing in the morning, 7 o'clock Alaska time. And at that time, we'll be talking about the power of Thor. Because Thor gives us strength, and he allows us to lead and guide and power our way through those times that may be more challenging. I also, before I go off the air today, I also want to say, for those of you who haven't had a chance, please pray for those individuals who have been affected by Typhoon Heilung. They are probably, as you may know, very scared, very uncertain, very uncomfortable. They are in a very difficult situation. There were villages that were completely wiped off the map. So Please pray for them, help them to find the energy and the hope that we can all provide for them through this energy stream. So please feel free to do that. And by all means, again, if you got any questions, hit me up, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for Felina's Belly Sneak, where we'll talk about the power of Thor. Love and light, my friends.
Been watching for Felina's Belly Snake, a special production of Whispers of the Norse. Brought to you by the Alaska akulfhednar in South Central Alaska. Guidance and wisdom, courtesy of an ancient Celtic Norse shaman. Thank you so much for joining us today.